Direct misfire, talking mini war games. Bensome and Spoon are taking aim. Comment, like, and subscribe today, keeping you notified and up to date.
Rats. Rats are everywhere. Rats are vicious, hard creatures that can survive in the harshest of conditions, living in filth and eating worse. They thrive in adversity. The darkest, most miserable places in the world are the domain of rats. If ever a race was destined for slavery, ideally suited for the despair and brutal life it offered, it was the vermin.
Hello champs, and welcome once again to another one of our army breakdowns. Joining me today as always is Spoon as we tackle the Ratkin army. How you going, Spoon?
Yeah, pretty good today. How about yourself?
Yeah, doing very well, thank you. I hear you attended a tournament on the weekend?
I did. I attended X-Master.
And?
It was good fun, really good fun. I ranked in the middle of the pack.
That's
Seems
good.
to be standard for me.
That's pretty good.
But we'll leave that for a missive, I think.
Sounds good. Okay, everyone, pull up a seat, grab a bevo, and let's get into it. So, the Ratkin. This is an army from the Uncharted Empires book, and their evil alignment with a new special rule for Uncharted Empires, and this is rallying. So basically a unit will have the rallying rule. What it does is any friendly non-allied units within 6 of that unit have a bonus to their wave and route nerve values, depending on the amount of rallying. So rallying 1 gives the other units around it an extra 1 to their waver and route. This is cumulative with other units, but only goes to a max of 2, so it stacks only up to 2, which is pretty cool. So when we go through the army units, you might notice that the nerve is lower than normal, but then you have to take into consideration that a lot of units have rallying, and then that kind of pumps up everyone else around it, which could be quite powerful. Okay, let's start off with Warriors.
Warriors are your base troop, infantry unit. They come in regiments and hordes. Speed 6, melee 5, no ranged attack. Defense 4, attacks 12 and 25. Nerve is 12/14 and 19/21. And they come in at 90 and 155 points.
Fairly standard block. I notice you can't take troops of these, so regiment hordes only. Melee 5 seems to be like a standard across the Ratkin army.
Okay,
They're not
yeah.
great fighters.
No.
But they're
They
cheap.
seem to be. They're a very grindy army.
I wouldn't mind taking hordes of them to fill up the board or unlock slots. Regiments seem a bit... I suppose they're okay. 12/14 nerve, but then you got rallying. If you got rallying 2, it's 14/16 for 90 points. Is not bad.
I'd only take these guys if I was skimming for points.
Yeah. Speed 6 is pretty good. Most of the Ratkin army is speed 6 on average. But yeah, they're not going to fight much. Defense, they've got no options for extra defense or anything like that.
I think they're pretty ho-hum. I'd only take, as I said, I'd only take them if I was skimming for points. I wouldn't even bother with a magic item personally.
Yeah, same. And if you're just trying to fill up the board, then the next block probably is going to be your choice, which are the Tunnel Slaves. Now these guys are irregular. Like the Warrior, speed 6, melee 5. Defense 2 though, so quite a big drop in defense there. The attacks are the same with 12 and 25, but these guys can be taken as a legion, and you get 30 attacks for your dollars there. Nerves the same, 12/14, 19/21, and 25/27 on the legion, with 60 points, 100 and 145. So quite a bit cheaper. And you also get yellow-bellied slapped onto them from the special rule. For those who don't know, yellow-bellied, if you go to charge in your opponent's front, you have to roll a dice. On a 1 they say, nah, and they don't do anything. That's only on the front, though. But, have a look at that. 145 points compared to the Warriors' 155 points, Horde and Legion. You're getting a bump in nerve by 6 and 5 extra attacks. I don't think the footprint is that big a deal because it's just an extra, 4 centimeters at the back. the actual width of it isn't changing at all.
I can see why people use these. I went against them in my list for another slot that we'll get to later on down the track. I can see those used being as chaff, roadblock, that sort of thing. I wouldn't be taking them in any bigger than a regiment, really. I mean,
60 points for a tar pit or a speed bump.
Yeah, that's all I can see myself using them for anyway.
You might get a couple of people off guard with the amount of attacks with the Horde because it's only 100 points and think, oh, great, nothing. But they're kind of like zombies in that respect.
Yeah, it'll still take a while to get through, even with defense too.
So they could hold objectives. Very good for that. Speed 6, so scenarios like invade.
Yeah. Yep.
Push could be good, one of the new scenarios. Control, speed 6, yeah, it's great. And a whole bunch of regiments. That'd be super annoying to face off against, I would think. But you need
to get rid of.
Yeah. Magic items?
Zip.
Nah. No point. Don't worry about it. Unless you take an Legion, then you take the Crystal Pendant, of course.
Yeah, that one could work. Because they're pretty cheap anyway, aren't they?
Yeah. But I guess a couple of breath weapons and they're going because they're only defense too.
Yeah.
That's what you have to be careful of.
Watch out for all these Efreets and Craniuses and anything else that
zombies with zombie legions with the Crystal Pendant also.
Yeah.
Okay, next.
Let's move on. The next one is Spear Warriors. So these are essentially the same as your Warriors, but they have a few more attacks. So the attack, they can only come in regiments and hordes as per the Warriors. The attacks are at 15 and 30. The nerve is the same. And the points go up just a little bit. So 110 for a regiment and 185 for the horde. Special rules, they have Phalanx.
Just like any other spear unit. And again, just like any other spear units, the bump in attacks. I always have a tendency to go for spears over non-spears. I mean, 20 points for Phalanx is pretty good.
I like these guys in both regiment and horde too.
More defensive than the standard warriors because of that special rule, not the actual defense stat. 15 attacks is decent, even though they're hitting on 5s.
Yeah, they're not going to stand up against big elite infantry, but they might hold up a standard infantry unit for a little while.
Yeah, I feel like I would want to take a horde of these over warriors for unlocks. To have a nice core of spear fellas would be alright.
Yep.
But I'd probably only want to take one horde of anything because of the amount of units you're probably going to have on the board, since everything is so much cheaper than most.
You're going to run out of room very
That's
quickly.
right. Magic items?
Go. I still wouldn't put anything on these guys.
I probably wouldn't mind. Like, if I add extra crushing strength onto them, that can make their horde of 30 attacks actually feel weighty.
Yep.
I probably wouldn't go anything defensive.
No, they're only defense 4 anyway.
Yeah. I'll have a look after I've written the list to see if I've got any points spare and if that's worth adding something onto them, because I'm sure there would be other units that would want to put the juicy items on first. And then if these guys get thrown a bone, so be it. But I like them. Anything else to say about them?
No, I think that's it.
Good-o. Next, we have Blight. So these are foul, noxious beings infected with all manner of hideous diseases as per the description. Regiment and Horde, again, speed 6, melee 4, so a bit better than the ones that we've been talking about previously. No ranged ability, defense 3, 15 and 30 attacks. These guys are fearless with a rout value of 14 and 21. And the most expensive of the bunch so far at 120 and 205 for the Horde. But they get some pretty cool rules with ensnare and stealthy. So harder to hit in the front, harder to shoot, which is pretty good.
Love these guys. These are probably my second favourite unit in the list.
I feel like these guys need some punch. They want the crushing strength item. Or the +1 to hit even, maybe. 30 attacks hitting on 3s.
We'll get to it later, and when I go through my list, I think in my list I gave them elite, but I was pairing the Blight up with the Blight character, whatever he's called.
Okay, yep.
Who has Bane Chance, so...
Okay, so that gives him an extra...
The extra crushing, yeah.
Yeah,
So you could go
works.
either way.
Mm-hmm.
Crushing strength is definitely a reasonable way to go.
Mm-hmm.
30 attacks, crushing 1, hitting on 4s isn't exactly terrible.
No, that's pretty good. I think you'll just catch a lot of people off, probably doing maybe 5 or 6 points of damage on your opponent, just as it is, with no crushing. Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Huge tar pit too with ensnare.
And the fearless, which is also
that's
a
good
huge
too,
bonus. I hate facing off against units that have ensnare and stealthy. It just makes me second guess everything. Do I really want to go in there? But
Especially if they're walking through a forest or something. I mean, you're adding an additional -1 to hit them already.
Yeah, that's right. Being hindered.
It's just crazy.
A couple of regiments of these would be good.
I like them in Horde. Give me
Horde works
either
also.
crushing or elite for me.
Mm-hmm. Also thinking a regiment with the boots, speed 7 dudes running up the flank, I think would be alright.
Brew of Haste,
Yeah.
you're talking?
That's it. I keep saying boots. Why do I keep thinking of boots of haste? The brew of haste.
Ready to move on to the next one?
Yeah, let's go to that one. What is it?
These guys are my favourite.
Oh, really?
Shock troops.
Oh, shocking.
Very, very nasty.
Mm-hmm.
After
Why?
reading their special rules, I was a bit shocked. These guys come in troops, regiments, and Horde. Speed 6, melee 4, no ranged attack, defense 4, 10, 12, and 25 attacks. Nerve is 9/11, 13/15, 20/22, and they come in at 95, 135, and 230 points.
Mm-hmm.
For that, you get Crushing Strength 1, Elite, and Vicious.
So the most expensive so far. They're just creeping up in points. But hitting on 4s with Crushing 1, Elite, and Vicious. That's the kicker there. Elite and Vicious.
That is an amazing set of rules there. These are the guys I put Brew of Strength on.
Yeah, and at which level? Horde? Regiments?
Horde.
Mm-hmm.
Horde. Yep.
And then you factor in the rallying.
Yeah. So your Horde comes in at 21, well, up to 21, 23, or 22, 24, depending on how much they're boosted.
Yeah. But
It's
even the
regiment
regiments at 15, 17 is higher than standard.
Yeah. I like them.
Yeah, they're really good.
They're fantastic.
You don't really need to give them much else because they've already got Elite, Vicious, and Punchiness.
Yeah. You don't even have to give them an item. They could go it alone without it.
Yeah. Horde, Crystal Pendant.
She's talking about expensive.
Okay, not much more to say about them. They're pretty swell. So, what have we got next? The next infantry block. Well, it's not really a block. We've got our first ranged unit, the Claw Shots. These are only come in troops, and they're on the cav bases, so 25 by 50 mil. So they
like cavalry size.
Yeah.
Cavalry troop.
Yep. So troop of 5, speed 6, melee 5, range 4. So that's good. Defense 4, 5 attacks. Nerve is 8, 10, and 90 points. So apart from their base size, in their special rule, they also have long rifles, so they've got a extended range of 36, if I'm not mistaken, and piercing 2.
That's right.
But they reload.
Yep.
But I guess with 36-inch range, you just have to make sure that they're deployed in a decent position, seeing most of the field, and you don't have to move them.
Correct.
But then with the movement scenarios, you can zip them in the last turn or two.
Yeah, to capture
needed.
Objectives, or jump over the line, or whatever you got to do. Yep.
Which is pretty handy.
I quite like these guys. Nerve seems a little scary, but you're not factoring in any rallying in there.
But they're only 90 points as well, so if they're wasting time on that and not
they're not
of your
shooting
heroes,
anything else or smashing anything else. The way I like to think of it, 2 units of these, you get 10 shots hitting on 4s, maybe, with piercing 2. Where does that put them? 180 points. What's an ogre shooter unit worth?
I think it was 230, I think.
Okay. Is that with the item or
That's just
with
base.
base? Okay. They're probably quite comparable to units to an ogre shooter unit. I know they're not going to have as many shots, but hitting on 4s as a base value rather than having to pay for an item, pretty nifty.
The shooters have 18 shots, but hitting on 5s for their 230 points.
Yeah.
So comparable.
Yep.
They're probably
I like
a bit more tolerable because it doesn't take a lot to take them off the board.
Yeah, got to be very careful with them.
There's not a lot of standard infantry shooting in this list, as far as I can see. So that's a decent go-to for your ranged. There's lots of lightning bolt and other stuff, and I've got a couple of war machines, but as a troop, infantry, 90 points, sure. I wouldn't put anything on them.
No, not worth it.
No.
Keep them naked, keep them cheap.
Yeah. What do we got next?
We've got Scurriers. These are a bit of an odd one. Not quite sure what to think of them. Speed 6, melee 5, range 4, defense 3, 8 attacks. Nerve is 911 at 110 points. For that you get nimble, throwing weapons, and vicious. And you also have the additional option of exchanging their throwing weapons for light crossbows, which you treat as bows for 20 points.
They're like the salamander gecko hunters, just not as fast because they're speed 7.
Yep.
But they're range 4, so being able to go at the double at 12, pivot is pretty good. Throwing weapons, 12-inch range, but vicious, so you can still move and shoot, but not worry about the negative for moving.
For moving. Yep.
So that's also pretty. I reckon these guys are pretty cool.
Yeah, I couldn't fit them in my list. Had no room.
If I was to take them, I feel like I would want to take 2 units to get in the way and annoy. I wouldn't use them as speed bumps because they're a little bit pricey for that. I think they would want to do. They would want to harass as much as they could before sacrificing themselves. And with juicier choices for rubbish units to get in the way, yeah, they're probably not my go-to. Swapping out for bows, you still get your nimble on it, but a 24-inch range.
Yeah, I wouldn't bother with bows.
But then it's 130.
Yeah, you're paying more points. For me to actually take these guys, they'd have to have Vanguard they'd have to have Vanguard, I think. I just cannot see why I'd take them.
I think they're okay. The nimble is the big thing there. Speed 6 nimble is pretty good.
Yeah, I'd pass.
Alright, fair enough. I wouldn't put any items on just because of the price already. They're on the pricey side for just a standard troop that will get blown away in the wind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Next one.
What we'll do is we'll take a break, get a sip of water, and we'll come back with the larger stuff, cavalry, war machines, large infantry, that sort of thing. Okay, we'll be back in just a moment.
Barzak the Grim, overmaster of the gift peers of Zarak, wanted more. More work, more blood, more pain, more productivity, more sacrifice, more slaves. A seemingly endless supply simply wasn't enough. Barzak began to experiment. Consumed by his madness, he locked himself away while he worked on his project rarely seen. Strange tittering screeches and agonized wails came from behind the locked doors of Barzak's laboratory. After a while, Barzak was forgotten and a new overmaster took his place.
And we're back. That's our first ever break. How does it feel? Refreshed?
Slightly.
Anyway. Okay, where were we? So we've gone through all the infantry, which is quite a bit. Now let's jump into the cavalry. So the Hackpaws is our only choice for Cav. They're not bad by the look of them. So what have we got? Troop and regiment size, speed 9 on these little fellas. Melee 4, no range, defense 3, 8 and 16 attacks with nerve of 9, 11, 12, 14, costing 95 and 145 points for the regiment. These guys are nimble and have Thunderous Charge 1 and are vicious, which is pretty cool. A couple of troops of these, speed 9, nimble, war machine hunters, character hunters.
I love these. I think they're great.
Yeah.
Couldn't fit them in my list, but I'd take them in a heartbeat, depending. My list would have to change considerably to take them.
Yeah, that speed 9 is just fantastic. I just wish all the other armies that I played had something that was speed 9 that didn't fly. Or cav. And the nimble, these are fantastic. I don't think I would want to put anything on them.
Nah.
Just because I think they'll just blow away. Because they're so fast and nimble, people would want to take these out. I think that's a fairly high priority. And once your opponent decides they're going, then they're going. Only defense 3. And a couple of lightning bolts or round of shooting should take them off.
Mm-hmm.
Thunderous Charge 1 is enough to get rid of most small things, I would think. And it's not like the other Ratkin units with the melee 5. 4 is
pretty good.
It's okay. Yeah, keep them simple. If I was to go anything, I would maybe put a breath weapon on them. If.
Yeah, big if.
Yeah. Well, that was our little stint of rats on horses, or big rats. So let's get into one of the few large infantries that they have. The Vermintide. Why don't you tell us about them?
These guys come in regiments and hordes, speed 6, melee 5, no ranged attack, defense 3, 9 and 18 attacks. Nerve is 9/11 and 12/14 for 60 and 90 points.
Mm-hmm.
These guys are height 0, nimble and vicious.
So another one of those not so large infantry.
Yeah. I like. Great speed bump. Speed 6 nimble. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Height 0, so your weapon
see over
teams
the
can
top.
shoot over them. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know about the vicious though.
Yeah, I think
just
imps.
It seems a bit weird.
I think the Abyssal imps have vicious. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they do as well.
Would you try and take advantage of that rule?
The vicious?
Yeah.
I'd only be charging them in to hold something up and just do a few attacks.
Mm.
And that was it. These guys are my version of chaff. I'd take these guys over the tunnel slaves.
Regiments or hordes?
Only regiments.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap. And the footprint's a lot smaller as well.
Yeah. A lot easier to work with, I find.
I feel like I want to put a breath weapon on him too. Breath weapon vicious?
Yeah.
But then the hack paws have vicious as well, but then they move faster. I don't know, can't I just give them all breath weapons?
No.
The current meta. Yeah, exactly the same as you. Keep them cheap and simple, they're going to die, so
yep.
Don't waste your points, I don't think. So, with that large infantry, I'm going to jump over to the next large infantry and kind of grip the war engines together.
Sure.
So, from the height 0, we have the height normal large infantry, the brutes. These are some monstrous figures indeed. Regiment and hordes, speed 6 like everything else, melee 4, defense 4, 9 and 18 attacks like any other large infantry unit. 10, 13, 13, 16 are their nerve values at 115 and 185 points. And this is getting you brutal, crushing 2, fury and regen 5. Hordes every day.
Yep. These are super good for 185 points.
Yeah, with a couple of units about, then they've got 15, 18 nerve with regen 5, crushing 2 and brutal. Hitting on 4s is pretty good. Defense is meh, but what do I want to do with these guys? So I wouldn't mind putting the extra speed on these guys to make sure that they're getting in first, unless you're facing off cavalry, but oh well.
Speed 7's good, Elite's good, Vicious to make sure you're putting those wounds through.
Yep.
I don't know. What
Headstrong, +1 nerve, or
yeah.
Make sure that their regen is kicking in.
Yep.
Any of those.
Yeah. You get quite a few options with those guys.
Yeah, I'd take a couple of hordes. Although the regiments at 12, 15 nerve wouldn't be too bad. I'm just always factoring in rallying, so they would have to be near something, or a couple of somethings. But again, your army's going to be so decked out with units that shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
And then that's another threat that your opponent has to think about amongst all the other juicy things that are coming up, or your shock troops. So, Lots of choice there. I probably wouldn't give him extra crushing. That might be overdoing it.
Yeah, crushing 3 is not really needed.
Unless
Get
you
a bigger
know you
monster.
matter. Yeah, that's right. Get something bigger. Alright, let's get into their war machines.
Alright, I'll do the first one. First off, let's try again. We've got the artillery, speed 6, no melee, range 5, defense 4, 2 attacks. The nerve is 8/10 at 90 points. For that, you get blast D3 +1, indirect, piercing 1, reload, and vicious.
I don't know about this one. I mean, long range is always good. 2 attacks hitting on 5s with only piercing 1. It does have vicious, but I feel like these wouldn't have a huge impact.
No, I skipped straight over them.
And, I mean, the blast isn't great. D3 +1. Yeah, nah, I'd rather take some hack wars. Not hack wars, claw shots.
The catapults, or the whatever they're called from the undead, are they D6 +1?
They are, that sounds about right, from the undead.
Yeah, or D6, I don't know. I'll have to have a look. Keep going anyway. I couldn't justify the 90 points on
D6
on
plus
this
2,
guy.
just checked. Piercing 2.
There you go. Yeah, and I think they're about the same point, 90 or 100 points each
100,
as well, aren't they?
10 points extra.
Yeah,
No.
I'm very, very sceptical on
Claw shots.
claw shots every day over these guys, I think.
Higher piercing, probably going to hit more often.
Yeah, and you don't have that random amount
Yeah.
of shots, or blast, I should say.
And because the claw shots aren't a war engine, they're probably a bit more defensible too.
Yeah.
I don't know, that probably doesn't even factor in because it's low nerf.
The other thing is that it takes up a war engine slot. And I think there's juicier options in your war engine slot than that
like
piece.
The weapon team, which is speed 6, no melee or range, defense 4, 10 attacks, 8/10 nerve, and only 60 points. So what's a weapon team without a range? It's one of those breath attack weapons. And these guys have nimble, just because. So that's pretty good. You do have the option, which I thought was nifty, of giving them piercing 1 for 20 points.
That's pretty good.
Breath attack 10, it's not a huge amount. I feel like I'd just take it as it is. I'll take 2.
Yeah,
Bugger it, take 3.
I wanted 3 in my initial list, but I couldn't fit them in. The Storm of the Lads, really, really good. I wish I could have put that in my list as well. The option of being able to bane chant your weapons teams helps.
Mm-hmm.
With that extra piercing, I mean, you could have one with piercing and one without, and bane chant the other one.
Mm-hmm.
As an option. I don't know. I only got 2 in my list without the Storm of Lead, but I've seen
60
what
points
piercing
each.
one. Yeah, they're so cheap.
Yeah. I mean, only 10 attacks, but it helps. I mean, they can just turn about and breathe on things, see over your vermintide if you're taking them, sit on the sides of regiments and wait for flyers or small things to try and get around the side, turn and shoot. Yeah.
I think they're pretty nifty.
More versatile, more reliable, I think.
Right.
So I hear there's another war machine, and apparently it shreds things. Do you know anything about that?
That's the Shredder.
Ah, righto, there you go.
This thing is speed 6, no melee, range 5, defense 4, 3 attacks, nerve of 8/10 at 90 points. Special rules are blast D3, piercing 2, and reload.
So direct comparison to artillery. It's the long-ranged option, same price. We have an extra attack over the artillery, no guaranteed +1 with the blast, so it's straight D3. But piercing 2, I guess the other thing is it doesn't have indirect.
Yeah, so that's a big one.
Yeah, you got to make sure you got your shooting lanes clear to make the most out of it. I'd rather take these over the artillery.
Yeah, so would I probably.
More chances to hit something with the 3 attacks.
Yeah.
And when it does hit, it hurts a bit more.
You only need to take a couple of wounds off a big monster or something similar.
Yeah.
A horde of large infantry or whatever they're called. Yeah, large infantry.
If you're aiming at monsters, that wouldn't be so bad, because then the indirect really wouldn't matter, because you've got your height 1 infantry covering most of the board, and a height 4 monster means that they get no cover. So that would be alright.
Yep.
You do have to factor in that your army is covering a lot of the board.
Yeah.
So with careful placement, they could do alright. Again, like with any other war engine, take 2 of them.
Yeah, take a couple of them if you're going to
Yeah.
take them.
Would you take them over the claw shots, or?
Nah, like the claw shots. They
Yeah.
only take up a troop slot. Shredder takes up a war engine slot.
But we've only got 3 war engines there.
Yeah, but I'm taking multiple weapon teams.
Well, that's fair enough. Okay, fine. You've got me there. Okay, so let's shift on down to the war engine, not war engine, the monster engine. The death engine. As it's kind of sort of hinted at, this death engine is a monster. It has a speed of 6, like everything else, melee 4, no ranged, defense 5. That's the highest defense we've come up against, I think, so far. The attacks is 1d6 plus 7, decent amount of attacks. Fearless 16 for your nerve at 170 points, which sounds very reasonable. But that's not all it's buying. It is giving us a larger base size, so 50 by 100 millimeter is this engine. Crushing 1, Rallying 1, Thunderous Charge 1. So in combat, yeah, that's not too bad. Decent amount of attacks. CSTC 1 each, yeah. You got a couple of options though. You can take Bloody Carnage. The Crushing Strength increases to 2 and gains Vicious, which seems like a pretty good option for 25 points. Or Vile Sorcery, which is 5 ult, range 4, piercing 2 for 40 points. 1d6 plus 7 piercing 2 attacks is pretty good.
Yeah, I'd be picking the second one.
Puts it at 210 points.
It's pretty expensive.
18-inch range. But range 4, piercing 2 is pretty good.
Yeah. I like it.
What are you shooting at with this, though?
Anything with defense 5.
For me, it feels like it wants to get into combat.
Yeah, I can do both.
Because it's the rallying one, you want to kind of, well, it depends on your army list. So if you've got a more combat army, you put it up the front with your other fellas, helping out the rallying. Defense 5 is pretty good, and then you've got the Bloody Carnage added on top of it to give it CS 2, TC 1, and Vicious.
Yeah. I suppose if you're not going to take the Bloody Carnage, you need to make sure it's not going through terrain, so you're not losing that Thunderous Charge.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
So it's got to be clear. The path has to be clear all the way, which isn't always possible, especially when you've got multiple hordes running down the board.
And Vile Sorcery could be, if you do take that, you can make the engine just kind of sit back behind your troops, shooting stuff at things.
Yep.
Because it's a monster being height 4.
Mm-hmm.
You can see over stuff and usually not worry about the cover situation.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping that range 4, or maybe range 5 if you've moved. Alright, at 1d6 plus 7, yeah, it's pretty good. Either or, they're both good choices.
Comes down to your playstyle, I think.
That's it, and your army list.
Yep.
Yeah. Next, what have we got?
I've got the Mutant Rat Fiend.
Okie dokie.
This guy is, he's the last monster, isn't he? Okay, he's speed 7, melee 4, no ranged attack, defense 4, 10 attacks. He's fearless with a route value of 17 at 200 points. For that, you get Crushing Strength 2, Regeneration 5 up, Strider, Thunderous Charge 1, and Vicious.
Yes, please. Give me 2. Give me 3. These seem like rat giants.
Yeah.
CS2 is pretty average for a giant, but then you got the Thunderous Charge 1, which may help. But these guys are also vicious. Strider like a giant. Regen 5 is the thing that makes me want to take them.
Yeah.
10 attacks is nothing to be sniffed at. Melee 4, defense 4 is a bit... but you got regen.
Regen makes up for that, I think.
Yes. 200 points is standard giant fare. I like them. I like my giants. And these guys will also get the bonus of rallying. So if they're near a couple of other combat troops, they go up to Fearless 18 or 19.
Yep.
Regen 5.
Pretty good.
Sweet.
Pretty good.
Not much else to say about these. You can't put items on them. Would you take these guys as well as Death Engines?
I didn't get any of these two in my list.
What?
I would have. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
That I don't believe it. Exactly.
I would have liked one of each,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, points didn't let me. We'll go through that later.
Yeah.
I like them both.
Mm-hmm.
If I could get them in, I'd probably take one of each instead of multiple. But I don't know.
Right. Well, when we get to a list, I don't know if I've taken these. I've written my list a while ago, so it'll be a surprise for me when we come to it. So what we'll do is we'll take our second break. Gasp, says the audience in their heads, not audibly, because I don't think that's what people would do when they're listening to a podcast. And we'll be back soon.
One day, almost 13 years since Barzak had sealed himself away, doors opened and Barzak reappeared triumphant. As he emerged from his self-imposed exile, behind him streamed a vast pack of rats. But not rats as they had been. These were something new, something terrible. A horrifying hybrid of rats and other races, dwarf, human, elf, goblin. Barzak had bred a new race of slaves, a race he named Law, ones that could do more, work harder, work longer, and, with the trait of the race he most desired, breed more slaves in vast quantities.
And we have returned, dear listeners. Fear not, we did not run out on you or abandon you. What are we doing? We're doing characters, aren't we? Yes?
Yes, we are.
Okay. How about we start off with the Lord of Blight, the Blight Lord. This guy is hero infantry size, so tiny base. Speed 6, like everything. Melee 4, defense 4, like most things. 4 attacks. Fearless 12, 95 points. He has Crushing 2 Ensnare, like the other little blighters. Individual, like you would expect. Inspires only blight units, and is also stealthy. With the option of Banechant 3 for 20 points, which is pretty good.
Banechant 3
Take Banechant
3. Yeah, Banechant 3 is so much better than Banechant 2.
3. Mm-hmm.
And the amount of times I've rolled Banechant 2 and failed.
I feel like I'd want to be taking a couple units of blight to run with this guy.
I like him as just a small, inspiring character to look after him. And if needs be, he can jump into a combat. I know it's only 4 attacks, but crushing 2 is
it all
nothing.
helps, yeah.
Yeah, nothing to sneeze at.
There's no other options for him. Would you put any other magic on?
Nah. Leave him naked. I'd only give him Banechant, that's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would also... He's not defensible, doesn't have the amount of attacks that requires extra beefing up.
Doesn't really need it anyway.
No.
He's got Ensnare and Stealthy, so he's harder to shoot. He's -2 to shoot.
Because of the individual.
Yeah, and
Possibly cover.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. And he's -1 to hit in close combat anyway, so I think he's all around pretty good for 95. What, plus your 20 points? Was it 115, is it?
That's right, yep.
Yeah, pretty good. I like him.
Yes, agreed. Okay. I feel like we should have gone to the other guy first. I feel like the War Chief is the one that we should be talking about first. But, not to worry. And tell us about the War Chief.
The War Chief. He is speed 6, melee 3, no ranged attack, defense 5, 5 attacks. Nerve is 11/13 at 110 points. He has Crushing 1, Individual, and Inspiring. You've got a couple of additional options. You can exchange his shield for a 2-handed weapon, which lowers your defense, and you go to CS2. Or you can mount him on a flea bag, which increases his speed to 9 and goes to a hero cav at 20 points. Sorry, you can take both of those options. It's not an or option.
What do you reckon?
At 110 points...
He's not a super great combat character, but still hitting on 3s, 5 attacks, crushing 1, giving him more defense 4, crushing 2, put him on a flea bag, maybe?
Maybe.
If I'm taking some cav, I might take him.
He's not terrible. He's not terrible. He's not overly good. He's in the middle. He's better than... I think there's another character in here that I just thought...
We've got the Enforcer, which is like a small combat character.
I think he's alright. War Chief, I don't know, he's kind of... I think the thing that puts me off is the 110 point base, and then you've got to work him up from there.
Well, when you consider things, it's not that bad. A lot of other basic heroes start off a bit higher than that. But I'm thinking Ratkin, everything's cheap. He's actually fairly reasonable for what he is. For me personally, I wouldn't take him.
Yeah, he's got to have a role in your army, I think.
Yeah.
But I can't seem to identify what his role would be.
He might be an
what I'd
alright
use him for.
sniper. I might give him the rapier and crushing strength 2. That means hitting individuals on 2+, 5 attacks, CS2. Also
yeah,
on a
that's not
mount,
bad.
so he's speed 9, so he can get in there. Or Wizard Hunt or War Machine Hunt. That's about 145 points total, which is alright.
That's not a bad option.
Yeah. He also
He's-
inspires, so
He's not inspiring much if he's running around on a little flea bag.
even in the late game, when things get a bit mashed, he can just zip in if he needs to,
Yeah.
which would be
he's
okay.
alright. I'd try and keep him as cheap as possible. If I was going to take him, I'd do something similar to what you just suggested. Put him
Breath
on a
weapon
flea
on him
bag.
works well too, but I would put him on a cheaper character if I'm taking a breath weapon.
Yeah.
But there's only one. You can only give them one breath weapon to share between everyone. Dang it.
That's what the war machine's for. What was it called?
The
Weapon team.
weapon team.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
take multiple of those.
But they're not speed 9.
Who cares?
I guess.
They're speed 6
Ah,
at 60 points each. Cheap.
yeah, whatever.
Alright, we'll move on.
Sure.
Next one is the Warlock.
Okay.
Speed 6, melee 5, no range attack, defense 4, 1 attack. Nerve is 9/11 at 90 points. For this, you get individual and lightning bolt 5. You've got some options: Wind Blast 5 for 15 points, Bane Chant 3 for 20 points, Heal 3 for 15 points. You can mount him on a flea bag and increase his speed to 9, and it changes into a hero cav for 15 points.
Swiss Army knife.
Hmm.
Even just base lightning 5. If you take a couple of them, it's no other ranged units, and you've got a lightning battery.
Hmm.
Or Bane Chant if you don't want your what's it fella, Blight Lord, because
Yeah, hanging around.
he's slightly cheaper, 5 points cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get him in combat, but he's got lightning 5 as well.
Yep.
Heal also would work well. Put him on a mount if you need to zip about. Oh, he's so good.
He's very good for 90 points base. What you plan to do with him it will depend on your army list.
Yes, he can fit most situations.
Yeah.
Taking lots of good combat characters, put him with Bane Chant and Heal maybe. Got a faster army, take a Fleabag and maybe Bane Chant or Heal or Wind Blast if you want to be
Pain in
sneaky.
the ass.
Or a pain in the ass, either or. Sneaky pain in the ass, same thing. Lightning Bolt 5 is really good. Also, just with him on a Fleabag, zipping about, being a pain in the ass. Such a pain in the ass, this guy.
I like him. I wanted 2 in my list, could only fit 1, and it
Yeah.
was purely because of Lightning Bolt 5 base.
That's really good. That's scary.
Yeah. Magic items, it depends on what else you take in your force.
That's right, again.
Inspiring Talisman is the one that sticks out for me if I was going to put anything on him.
Extra lightning, maybe?
Was that the boomstick? Is it?
That's lightning 3. There's one that'll bump your lightning by 2.
Okay, yep. So I got a Lightning 7.
Yeah.
Nice.
Or Elite might be okay on him if you're taking a couple of spells as well. I mean, it puts the price up, but make sure that those spells are going off.
Yeah, he's got a few options, that guy. The
Yeah.
Warlock's pretty good.
He
Pretty nifty.
is. So, what about the Enforcer? Is he any good? I'll have a look. Speed 6, melee 4, defense 4, 3 attacks, 9/11, nerve, 45 points. So cheap. Crushing 1, individual, rallying 1, or a flea bag for 15 points. Makes him speed 9. That's a really cheap thing, but he's not inspiring. Put the talisman on him, but then why don't you just take a Swarm Crier, which is the next hero who has inspiring.
He doesn't have... This is why I like him. I like this character. I think he's amazing. Rallying 1. Think about it. So you're plonking him... He doesn't have to fight a combat. You're plonking him in between hordes, and everyone's getting +2. So if you got 2 hordes around, everyone's getting +2 to their rally. To their nerve, sorry. For 45 points.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. This is the guy. I think in my list I didn't put Inspiring Talisman on the Warlock. I actually put it on this guy. So not only are they getting +2, getting Inspiring as well.
Yeah.
I think he is great for 45 points. And what's the Inspiring Talisman? 20 points? So 65 points, I think he's pretty good.
Or War Machine Hunt for 60 points. Put him on a flea bag.
On a
just
flea bag,
by
yeah.
himself. Zip him off.
Yep. You could use multiple of them. Just be a pain in the ass with 2 or 3 of those dudes running around. I think they're good.
Yeah. Bit more focused in that he is sitting around with dudes because of the rallying. But yeah, pretty good. I don't know if I want to put anything else but the inspiring on him. If I have 2,
Yeah.
and
That big ass breath weapon.
I was going to say healing. No, not breath weapon. Everything doesn't have to have a breath weapon. Although it would be good. That's it. I mean, seriously, that's a good choice. Fleabag, him, and a breath weapon. You got a speed 9 pain in the ass who's breathing on stuff.
Yeah, it's a bit quicker than the weapons teams.
Yes.
Yep.
But yeah, good suggestions there. I don't think we want to do anything else with them.
Mm.
The Swarm Crier is the next one. Same stat line other than the melee, which is 5 instead of 4. And attack is 1 instead of 3. I guess it's not the same stats because the nerves 8 and 10, so it's dropping. But the points are the same, I got that right. Individual and inspiring, so no crushing, no rallying. He does inspire. Fleabag 15 points. If you've got hordes and legions and you don't need the other fella, just take this guy. Super cheap inspiring source.
If you are skimming for points, this is the guy to go for.
Give him a bow for 5 so he can do something else, or healing. If he's just going to sit behind, or grenades, yeah. Not a breath weapon on this guy. The nerve is too low. Someone sneezes and he dies, and there goes all my points. All my points. I think with your thoughts there and with the comments that you've made, I think I would rather take that over the Swarm Crier.
Yeah.
But I usually have a small, cheap, inspiring source anyway, so he might be my ticket.
Yeah. As I said, if you're skimming for points, the Swarm Crier is the way to go.
One of the cheapest in the game, 45 points. That's
Alrighty.
it. Next.
Assassin. We've come to possibly my favourite normal character.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Why is that?
I think this guy is super versatile.
How so?
He is speed 6, melee 3, range 3, defense 4, 4 attacks. This is where it gets scary at nerve 10, 12 at 100 points.
Mm-hmm.
He has crushing strength 1, individual, piercing 1, stealthy, throwing weapons, vanguard, vicious.
He's got a few rules.
Write a book about him.
Hmm.
There's a lot of different magic items you can put on this guy. You have to be super careful with him. Don't let him get breath weapon to death.
No. Yeah, no one's going to shoot
kill him.
standard weapons on. They could zap him.
Yeah, any breath weapon or lightning or anything along that line.
Be wary.
Will, yes, be very careful. What I like on him, wings is a bit too expensive. Boots of levitation, move 12, 4
At the
shots
double
hitting
and shoot.
on. Yeah, 4 shots hitting on 3s, piercing 1.
Yeah, it's pretty good, pretty annoying. It's like that gnat that just won't go away. You know what it's about, and it's annoying you. You just can't swat it. What are the wings worth?
They're an extra 10 points, I think. I think they're 40.
140.
So I think it's 130 versus 140. It's only 10 points. Either.
Are you putting the wings on anything else?
Not in my list.
I guess the other things that can take him, you can put them on mounts. So it's not that big of an issue with speed 9 to speed 10.
I just like as I've been playing my Abyss with the Ifrit, with the March and Shoot, the Boots of Levitation, it's been really, really good.
Difference being an Ifrit has 20 attacks instead of 4.
Yeah, this guy has a completely different role. What he's shooting at, though, I think this is just taking off odd.
Making sure those nerve checks there.
Being taken,
yeah.
That little piercing 1 doesn't sound like a lot, but I think that makes a big difference.
It's more than piercing, nothing.
Exactly. I like him. I like the Assassin. He is expensive. I'd be keen to actually give him a go and see how it works. I think he'd need 3 or 4 games to figure out if he's viable or not.
I don't think he'd be taking more than 1 either.
No, they're too expensive for that.
Yeah. Any other magic items apart from extra speed or levitation?
Brew of Haste. Extra speed's good. So speed 7 Vanguard, so you've moved 14 inches before you start.
Yep.
Great for those stray war machines or characters that are laying there.
Throwing weapons so you can do something.
There's a couple of options there, but I quite like him. I think there's a lot of things you could do with the Assassin. You just got to be super duper careful with him.
Yeah. I feel like, though, if you've got An assassin, why? What about a warlock? Because of the lightning, so you got a longer range on your annoying shooting. And lightning is also piercing.
Warlock can't fight combat.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to get that guy in combat either. I mean, he's also 10-12 nerve. It's not a...
Yeah, but he's also...
And defense 4.
Oh, he doesn't have ensnare. I thought he had ensnare.
No, it's just stealthy.
He's not going to be fighting big units. He's only taking out stray characters, little stray characters or war machines, or it's just being a general pain in the ass.
He is hitting more reliably than lightning with range 3.
I take one of each.
Yeah. There's a lot of good choices in this list.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. You are spoiled for choice in this list.
Alright, we'll come up to the last entry in the Ratkin list, and one of my favourites, and makes me a bit jelly that I can't take him as an ally, because this demon spawn, this monstrous hero, is a living legend. So, can't take him as allies. Poop. What do we get for our dollars here? Speed 6, like everything else, melee 3, defense 5, 13 attacks, 16-18 nerve at 290 points, crushing 3, inspiring, lightning 5, and rallying 2. And you can give him wings, speed 10 and fly 4, 50 points. I feel like he's, for my playstyle, better than the Archfiend.
He is very good.
Which is why I would like to take him as an ally. But I can't. That 13 attacks is so juicy. Hitting on 3s, crushing 3.
Yeah, defense 5 worries me a little bit.
The thing I find when I'm talking about the Archfiend as an ally that you can't give him
defense 6.
The defense 6 is that he's only got 9 attacks compared to that 13.
13 is
and crushing 2 thunderous charge too, so sometimes I'll be hindered or coming out of terrain or into terrain or whatever, and it's only CS2. Having the always CS3 with 13 attacks.
Hitting something in the rear or the flank, that is insane.
Yeah. So with the wings, he's 340 points, which is very, very pricey. But
yes,
we're talking about Ratkin here, so just takes a bunch of other small junk and you'll be fine. Yeah, you can't give him anything else because of the living legend status. I think he's great.
Super good.
I feel like he kind of needs the wings though, because speed 6 isn't really doing much. He's sitting behind dudes shooting lightning. In defense 5, you don't want him getting charged first. But then rallying 2, he says it wants to be near the combat with your other fellas, helping everyone else out.
Can do both.
I guess,
doesn't mean you have to fly him
that's
out
right. Just because it's got it doesn't mean you
turn.
have to use it. Yeah. I would love if this was rare 2, so I could take 2 of them. But I can't, so we're stuck with 1, and I will take it with my giants.
Lightning Fire is very good too, so as we were saying before, you can sit back, keep your rallying up, just lightning the bejesus out of anything, and then charge in later.
Yeah, super powered up Warlock. Good-o. Alright, so that's all of the units within the Ratkin list. We'll take our last break, and when we come back, we'll discuss ally options, and we'll run through a couple of our lists. Alright, so don't go too far, and we'll be back soon.
With the biggest brutes he had created, Barzag reasserted his authority and quickly rose back to the position of power, even greater than before. Over the years that followed, the Ratkin became a commonplace sight in the slave dens, and their endless supply saw them sacrificed, tortured, maimed, worked, and discarded in inconceivable numbers. The Ratkin were bred for oppression and thus were cruelly exploited. But they thrive in adversity. The darkest, most miserable places in the world are the domain of rats.
And we have returned for the last time. In this episode, it's not like last time ever, so just don't freak out. We are coming back. Okay, so allies. The Ratkin, do they need allies? If they do, what would we be taking? Go.
This is very hard.
That's the thought, exactly.
Mainly because I think if you're going to take anything, it would be something that's has better ability fighting in close combat.
I'm thinking defense.
Yeah, all that. But that means you're losing out on the rallying special rule.
Yes. I think I would want to take maybe a couple of regiments or a horde of the Abyssal Dwarf Obsidian Golems with the defense 6.
Oh, yeah, that might work.
That'd
yeah.
be a great little block there. It probably might catch people off.
How fast do they move?
It's only speed 5.
Okay, so they're not that much. They're only an inch slower than the
Yeah.
rest of the Skaven. Ratkin.
Yeah, whoops. But they fight well. I mean, they're crushing 2 vicious.
Yep.
But it's the defense 6 that I'm looking at. I mean, if you want speed, you've got your hack paws there. They don't have super fast, hard hitting cavalry, so that might be an option. You've got your Abyssal half breeds. They're hitting on 3s. They've got 8 or 16 attacks with crushing 1, thunderous 1, and regen, so they're fairly self-sustaining in that respect. Or the grotesques if you really want to go hard, but they're not very fast, so stick with your hack paws. Werewolves or not? Maybe?
Maybe.
Werewolves
I
are
don't know.
speed 9, crushing 1, life leech, nimble.
If you're going to take allies, are you going to take an allied inspiring source as well?
Depends on what I'm taking. If I'm taking just a regiment of werewolves, they're speed 9 attacks, so and melee 3, so it's hitting a bit better than the hack 4s. Probably not. I don't care if they go. They got one job. If they do it, great.
What about your Abyssal Dwarf golems?
Again, maybe not. The defense 6 means they should be holding for a while if you take the Horde with, which is Fearless 17. But then just a standard what's it dude with inspiring isn't super expensive. Slave Driver's 50 points.
Is he the one that surged? Does he surge them? Are they shambling?
They are shambling, and he isn't. What you need is an Ironcaster.
Ironcaster, yeah.
And he's not inspiring them.
Yeah.
He only inspires war engines, which is frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not. You don't need any chaff because you've got plenty there. You've got lightning for your range. I don't think you need hard-hitting ogres. No. I think they're pretty good by themselves. I mean, if you, dear listener, have any ideas as to allies, let us know. But I don't think these guys need it.
I don't think so. I think they're pretty well-rounded. You've got so many choices.
I would think Red Goblin Blasters for the ogres, but no, your army's huge. That blaster's gonna take out something of yours or do nothing.
It's gonna end really badly.
No, it's a fantastic list with the amount of choice that it's got, so I don't think you need anything.
Yeah.
So how about let's go through a couple of our lists. My voice needs a bit of a break. How about you go through yours first?
I'll go through mine. Now, I wrote this about 20 minutes before we did the show.
Confidence. It's all about confidence.
I think it's actually all right. I'm just not sure if it lacks a big monster, but we'll get through it, and you can tell me what you think.
Sure.
So first of all, I started with the Mighty Shock Troops.
Mm-hmm.
Horde formation, Brew of Strength. So crushing 2, elite, vicious, nastiness. Love it.
Right.
Blight Horde with elite.
Yep.
So the next one is a Brute Horde. So I've gone down in the Horde size, but
it's still
another Horde to add that rallying effect.
Mm-hmm.
Then I've got my Chaff Contingent, which is 2 Spear Warrior Regiments.
Okay.
Now, the reason I added the spears in, I mean, I could save myself 40 points and just go down to warriors, is that I think with rallying and phalanx, they might hold a small charge, maybe, if I'm lucky.
Although with our current meta, there's not a lot of thunderous charge. A lot of people take crushing strength instead, so that may not take effect, but I understand your point.
May not. The other thing to consider too is even hitting on 5s, they get Bane chanted with 15 attacks.
Yeah.
Maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I've got 2 regiments of those. Then I've got a troop of claw shots.
Yep.
For a long range threat. I think they're pretty nifty. Got some more chaff. Sorry, haven't sorted my list properly. I've got 2 Vermintide regiments. Just run in the way and die.
That's what they
pretty
do.
Much. Yep. Then I've got 2 weapon teams. Just breath 10.
Yep.
Couldn't afford the piercing. Then I've got my mighty assassin with the boots of levitation, so he can move at the double and shoot.
Yes.
Pain in the ass guy. Then I've got Blight Lord. So I gave him Bane Chant 3, and that was it. Then I've got the Enforcer, the little character that has the rallying, and I gave him Inspiring, as I was discussing before. Then I have a Warlock with Lightning Bolt. No, he gets Lightning Bolt 5. Bane Chant 3 and Heal 3. I had 15 extra points. I wasn't sure what to do with the 15 points, so I spent it on Heal.
Sure.
And the last unit is the big Demon Spawn with wings.
Of course.
So I really wanted a Death Engine in there, but finding 200 and something point, 210 I think it is, points was rather difficult.
Makes me want to start a Ratkin list, but I sold all my stuff to you.
I've still got most of it. I sold some of it.
Okay,
I've still got enough to make an army too.
Buy it back off you. It looks like quite a different list to what I'm taking. I'd like to see how it plays.
Maybe I'll put it together and we can play test it.
Mine. Let's have a look for comparisons. So I'm starting off with a horde of spear warriors, just naked, because I don't think they need anything.
Mm-hmm.
Then I've got 2 regiments of blight, again naked, and rounding off my core, I've got 2 hordes of brutes, also naked.
Smaller footprint for the horde. Yep.
So I've got 3 rallying units so far with the spear warriors and 2 brutes. In front of all this stuff, probably, we've got 2 regiments of vermintide get in the way to make sure those brutes or blight get the charge off. I've got that supported with just a single weapon team, just in case something tries to get around the back or the side, pesky undead and whatnot. I've got a flanking force. This is made up of a regiment of hackpaws, an enforcer on a fleabag with a breath weapon, and running with them is the demon spawn as well with the fly and speed 10. So I've got some 3 very fast fellas, and a bit of punch there. I've thrown in a mutant rat fiend because, like I said, I think they're great, like just a giant. They're probably going to sit beside my core there, either side of the big chunk to threat. And I've got a couple of characters to help out. 2 swarm criers, one with the warbow because of 5 points, and the other with the healing charm to try and keep my fellas fresh. And then I've got a warlock with the inspiring talisman and also heal 3. So we've got a bit of long range with the lightning there. Hopefully my combination of heal 6 will keep my brutes or rat fiend alive. And they're going to be doing most of the damage in the center, while my dudes around the side, like the hackpaws and the demon spawn, with the annoying dude on a fleabag breath weapon, will take out any ancillary characters or units and smash my foes, so to speak. That's what I'm thinking.
You didn't get a death engine in either. You got the rat fiend. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So you couldn't fit both in.
No.
Yeah. I like it. I like the sound of it.
I felt like I needed that extra punch because otherwise my core is just spear warriors and blights, which I feel like if I'm up against anything with decent defense, they're just going to get whittled down.
See, that's the difference. I took the shock troops with the extra crushing for some hitty power.
But it's only the 1 unit, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got a horde. I've got the blight with elite. I've got a lot of Bane Chant access. So that's what I was relying on, whether the Bane Chant goes on the weapons teams or the blight or the, what else have I got in here that would use it? Shock troops. I mean, shock troops at crushing 3 is pretty insane.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, I was relying on that sort of stuff to get me through the big tough units. And of course you got the big winged demon dude.
He can do whatever he feels like.
He is so good. He is ridiculously
good. No one's
good.
going to question it.
He would have to be one of the best monsters in the game.
Yeah. Hero monsters.
Yeah.
That you can't take as allies.
But you can take if you have a Ratkin.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Very good points spent. So, final thoughts on the Ratkin?
Love them. Even though I kind of want to sell my Skaven. I'm going to say it again. Skaven. Ratkin army. After doing this list, I think I'll just sell the excess.
Well, I've still got dudes if you need them. If I'm not going to buy them back off you, I've got a whole lot of fellas.
I think I've got most of this. Yeah. I think there's only 1 or 2 things that I need.
But then you need the fellas to run my list as well.
I'm not buying them. You can just borrow my army.
Yeah, that's true. We don't need 2 Ratkin lists in the group. Yeah. Alright, is there anything else that you'd like to say about the Ratkin?
Not really. I think they're pretty well balanced. Just full of choice. So many different army builds you can do. Obviously, our lists were pretty different.
Mm-hmm. And this is, I mean, this is just the scratching the surface. I mean, you could take all heavy troops, you could reduce the amount of units that you've got in the army, you could go as much lightning or ranged as you want. I mean, how many drops have you got in your army?
15, I think.
Yeah, same. That's
a lot of drops.
Yeah, especially since us, on average, take between, 10 and 12
Yeah.
at the most. 15 is pretty solid. Yeah.
Mm.
Good army.
You should out-deploy your enemy, but in saying that, having a couple of big hordes might be difficult depending on the terrain on the board.
That's right. Being able to maneuver is a big thing.
Yeah. First army I haven't taken Pathfinder in.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Alright, so that is the Ratkin. We will return sometime soon because of the Antares Initiative, which is something that we're both taking part in. Which, what is that? That's Warlord games. They do bolt action and a couple of other things, historicals. We've got a sci-fi game, Beyond the Gates of Antares, and we've been selected to participate in that. They've given us a bunch of stuff to try out and report back on, and so far our first impressions are pretty good. So we'll probably record a missive with a couple of our pals and discuss what's going on there. But until then, this is Bensome and Spoon, and we will see you on the flip side.
Bye.
See ya.
The revolt and breakout was a maelstrom of blood, fur, teeth, and gore. When they turned on their masters and creator, they showed no mercy. Thousands of abyssal dwarves died, and the vast pack boiled through the halls on its way deeper into the earth. Unknown to their overlords, the Ratkin had been preparing for this moment for years. Miles and miles of the new tunnels had been burrowed away from the abyss, far away in an escape route that could expedite the flight of their new race. Somewhere, they could form their own destiny and plot revenge on the wickedness that had spawned them. A century after the Exodus, and reports of new menace in the east are reaching the ears of civilized lands. The rumors tell of an army of rat-like beasts, of arcane magics and bizarre contraptions, all marching to war. Names have attached themselves to the rumors like moths to a flame. The Scourge, Underkin, the Swarm, Skitterfangs.
Yeah, direct misfire blowing up the game. Talking many war games is our aim. From rulebooks to advice, we cover it all. With the best tactics, we never fall. Bensome and Spoon are your host every vid. Misfiring, but aiming up ahead. Comment, like, and subscribe today, keeping you notified and up to date. Come check us out at facebook.com/directmisfire or shoot us over an email at directmisfire@gmail.com.